All right. Well, thanks everyone so much for joining us. This is our monthly plug-in webinar, which we're really going to be focusing on the value of MBA's new translation services plugin, which is really designed to elevate family engagement, save time for staff, and just continue to make your school or district the rock star that it should be within the community. Couple logistical things before we get going. As you'll notice, we have the Q&A turned on. So feel free to plug your questions into the Q&A area down there. We look forward to getting to as many of those as possible. Now, this is a big topic and we had a lot of attendees. So if we, for some reason, do not answer your question in the chat or answer it live, rest assured, we'll be doing personalized follow-up with everyone who registered or who attends today, and we'll be really diving into some of your more technical questions there as well. So apologies if we don't get to yours, but did want to set that expectation at the top. We'll get to just as many as possible. We have a whole team of experts on this call from product, from marketing, from sales, et cetera. We're ready to monitor that Q&A. So please feel free. Don't feel like you have to wait for the end. Just plug those in as we're going. We're also recording, and I think that's going to be really key for us sending this recording out to folks in the next couple of days. But feel free to pass it around if there's other folks within your school or district who could benefit. That's exactly what it's there for. And then finally, just thank you for taking some time to join us today. I know, coming from a school district, it's always a busy time of year, but there's just something different about May with all that end of year stuff that you have to kind of wrap up. So the fact that you're spending, 30, 45 minutes with us today really means the world. So with that said, I'll jump right in and introduce our experts today who we're going to be hearing a lot from, as well as setting the stage a little bit before we dive into the different areas of our webinar. First of all, we have Adrian Carlson here. He's the SIS specialist within the Education Technology Department at the Diocese of Lincoln, Nebraska. And we also have Sherry Schultes right here from Marsha Brenner Associates, who's our custom solutions specialist and knows the product better than just about anyone is going to go in and actually show us how this can work within your PowerSchool SIS alongside a report creator, et cetera. And I'm Sam Sale. I'm on the marketing team here. I'm going to be your host, your Q&A person, your moderator, et cetera, for the day, but also came from a school district and get some of the pain points of not having something that's going to be able to translate automatically so that we can better connect with the parents who are, our at-home support for all the children that we serve. Just really quickly, I always do like to open these with introducing Marsha Brenner. Clearly a lot of PowerSchool SIS districts know MBA for, the past 40 years it's been around. But if you're new to your district or maybe new to this type of webinar, we have been around for 40 years, really connecting technologies so that you can get the best out of your PowerSchool SIS and making sure that we're helping K-12 districts, streamline administrative tasks, have better data accuracy, save time. And really, those core pillars for us are, we have a lot of experience, 40 years, relationship first approach. We really begin development by listening, building that relationship with you and understanding where you want to take your technology usage and then being your partner along the way. And the thing I love most about MBA is it works, proven results of really being able to go in and help schools and districts run a lot more smoothly and be more focused on what matters. Which really opens us up to our topic for today, which is family engagement. This was a huge ask. We have, families, lots of different languages, et cetera. How can we get them more involved? And the research is really clear. I was reading this report the other day. It's a new report. It's not like a COVID, 5-6-year-old report. Came out in 2026 around parent involvement statistics. But, this kind of, proves what we all know. Parents get engaged, students do better. I think back to when I was a teacher, as we had parent-teacher conferences, it seemed like every parent that walked in, well, those were the ones I didn't really need to talk to. They were involved. Their children, were showing up. Very few absences, great grades. I really needed to talk to some of those students who were having issues, but the parents weren't showing up. And so this is a great way for us to make it easy for parents to have visibility to how their child is doing, because, as the stats really speak for themselves, but when parents get engaged, attendance goes up for schools. That means funding goes up as well. Grades go up. It makes sense. The student shows up, they learn the content, they're more likely to get those higher grades, and also fewer disciplinary referrals, suspensions, et cetera. And that's exactly what translation services helps us do. So by automating that process, we can really increase family engagement, as mentioned, making it easy for multilingual families to know exactly what's going on with their child, to get involved, and to have a data-driven approach to support. Of course, for staff, I know when I was a teacher, we had like one person who was doing manual translations and driving around the homes. This is going to be a great time saving kind of addition to make sure your staff are spending less time manually translating and more time focused on some larger initiatives. And as mentioned, building community trust by continuing to provide these great translations out to parents. It elevates your reputation within the community, and really can help, especially, if a lot of schools and districts are thinking about enrollment numbers, things like that, keeping those high. This is a great way to make sure that parents are just delighted to be in your district, and would never even fathom, taking a look elsewhere. So that's really kind of the gist of what we're going to be talking about today. Now, I certainly have talked enough. I want to hear first from some others. So I'm going to now jump into a little bit of a Q&A component of today's webinar with Adrian Carlson. Adrian, I'd love for you to come on unmute and tell us a little bit about your organization, your role that you played there, and then we'll jump into some additional questions, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. My name's Adrian Carlson. I am the SIS specialist for the Diocese of Lincoln in Nebraska. Really, that just means I'm the PowerSchool admin. We serve 30 schools across basically the bottom half of Nebraska, so the southern half of Nebraska. I have schools that are 4.5 hour drive one way and 2.5 hour drive, the other way. So a lot of rural schools, a lot of smaller schools, and basically our staff, there's 10 of us on staff, but I'm the only PowerSchool guy. So I'm the PowerSchool administrator for all these schools. And, that's it. That's just who I am. And yeah, we have some other MBA products. So we have the report creator and the MBA attendance monitor. What initially attracted me to MBA was the report creator, serving 30 different schools. We had 30 different report cards, and I used the MBA report creator to kind of condense a lot of those report cards or transcripts down so that they could work for, I would be fixing one report card that would then service the 30 different schools with the conditional logic and things like that. So, yeah.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate you joining us today. Sounds like you have your hands full with the southern half of Nebraska there. So once again, thank you for taking a little bit of time to share your story with us.
Yeah,
Now I
no
will,
problem.
absolutely. And yeah, just to kind of the why Adrian component. I'll speak to that for a minute. We, as mentioned, are really relationship first, and we really love that kind of connection with schools and districts to make sure that what we're working on is truly going to meet the needs. And so Adrian was kind enough to participate into a little bit of a beta program where we were able to get feedback on translation services and make sure that this is something that's going to actually move the needle with the challenges that they were facing. And they're rolling this out within the diocese for back to school this year. So it was a perfect kind of expert to jump on and talk a little bit about the experience. So Adrian, I'd like to always start with okay, why anything? Like what was maybe the challenges that you were like, hey, we can do this better, and translation services might just be the thing that helps us tackle these challenges and succeed. Like, what were the real challenges that you were experiencing that got you interested in translation services in the first place?
Yeah, again, it kind of goes back to I'm the one PowerSchool administrator. We have a very strong, especially in our smaller rural schools, like we have a strong Hispanic, Spanish-speaking population, and then kind of in our more city areas, we have a very strong Vietnamese-speaking population in our schools. And our schools frequently come really to me, but to our district asking, what are our options for translating all these reports that we send out to our parents to other languages? And to be honest, we did not have a good answer for that. We were very under supporting and underutilizing those families of those different languages because, again, we just didn't have the staff to translate those, or, I don't speak those languages natively. So it would have been on me to translate all of our reports to specifically those two different languages. We would always kind of throw it back to the schools saying, well, we can translate those reports in the PowerSchool or in the MBA report creator, but the school, would have to provide someone to do that translation service. And then usually my response was crickets after that because either the school also doesn't have that staff to do that translation, and usually it would fall on some sort of volunteer to do those translations, and that's a very thankless service. And so we were really kind of underutilizing those or under supporting those families. So when I heard about the MBA translation service, it really filled that need because now I can go in and use the machine learning to do those translations on our reports, and then they don't have to we don't have to hire someone to do the translation. They don't have to provide us a volunteer. The reports stay as they are, and we just do the translations for the languages we need.
Mhm. Excellent. No, that I think that's a great overview. And I will say, the languages maybe are different, but pretty much every school or district has a similar need of like, okay, well, we've got, individuals who, even if they're, speak great English, they would still be a little more comfortable in that native language. And if you can make them a little more comfortable with accessing their child's data so that they can better support their child, then that's certainly a service that has great value because we, talked at the top, that when parents get involved and have that visibility and have accessibility into things that matter, the student realizes that maybe they don't like it at first, but they realize that they're that all of a sudden there's a higher level of accountability there. Um, so yeah, no, that's I think a great overview. So you guys were enrolled in the beta experience. As mentioned, we love a customer driven beta experience. Getting that feedback is really just second to none. So would love to hear a little bit about, okay, well, in participating in the beta experience, what did you see that you liked up front? Did you have any feedback for areas that could make this a little bit more useful for schools and districts that will be adopting in the future?
Yeah, the beta experience was really pretty straightforward and easy to do. Again, I heard about this plugin coming out in the future, and I wanted to be one of the first to use it because, again, it filled a need that we really needed. So I was more than willing to volunteer to help test it out. We just got in contact, installed the plugins on my server, which was really easy. And then even just kind of walk through. MBA has a couple of different examples to, you know, make sure everything's working how it's expected. And then also I was given the freedom, to start translating my own reports, see
Mhm.
how this would work in the real world. Um, and there was a few bugs, like that's the whole point of the beta service.
Yep.
For one, right off the bat, it was working and translating fine when you selected the student's language at runtime. But if you use the student's preferred language, then it just wasn't working. And so emailed them that feedback and right away, even talked to the developer on that plugin, and we got it fixed honestly within a few hours. So, I mean, it was overnight, but it was still, we got it right up and running, and then it was back to the way it was expected to run. So it was a great experience for us.
Yeah, and that's the thing about beta. If you come in beta and it's just perfect from the get go, then did we really need the beta? I really appreciate your approach in coming in, understanding like, hey, early access. The trade off is giving some feedback because at the end of the day, we really want this when it goes to the masses. Really want to have all those kinks worked out, and we couldn't do it without actual practitioners like yourself. So just huge thank you for the support there. Now, you mentioned you're kind of the one-stop shop for all things SIS within the diocese. So I don't think anyone better than you to talk a little bit about like how you're planning to roll this out this fall. What does success look like this fall when it comes to rolling this out? What value are you looking to get from adding this to your overall PowerSchool experience within the diocese there?
Yeah, so my plan is to roll it out kind of over the summer. We obviously have a lot of MBA reports, and my goal is to actually have those translated for the start of next school year. Again, it's kind of me that's going to be doing the translation. So at first, I know the plugin has the ability for staff, whoever's running the reports to actually do the translations themselves. To start out, we kind of have or I guess, kind of have a slow planned rollout. I'm going to translate kind of the base language on all of our reports. And we're going to start, not do like teacher comments. So we're going to kind of make sure our core reports, the stuff that's the same on every single school, the key language is all translated. I'm hopefully, I said we don't really have many volunteers, but I do have a few people that I can reach out to that can at least glance over the reports, make sure they are properly translated. Um, and so that's kind of my first step. And then once we get those core translated, make sure we have enough tokens, we might be allowing the schools to translate even teacher comments. So that's kind of our end goal. Um, that's probably a few steps down the road, but even the ability to translate teacher comments is really kind of the end goal there. We also thought of maybe doing a intermediate step where um, we don't have like set comments, like a comment bank. We've always wanted to do that, but there's been no mandate down from the top that, these are set comments. But I was thinking maybe if we have a comment bank and translate those, that would be a good intermediate step between, just the core report translated and no comments translated. Then they could choose from the comment bank and those would be translated and then eventually get to where, at runtime, our schools can actually translate um, everything, including the teacher comments. And hopefully by the time we get to that last step, all the core translation, as I'm sure Sherry will show or will show in the demonstration, once a word or, kind of a group of words has been translated, then it's already, the system's going to reuse that. It's not going to retranslate it at runtime. So hopefully by the time we get to that final step, most of all of it things would be pretty much translated, and then it would just be those kind of on the fly changes, quarterly comments that would have to be translated at that point. So that's kind of our goal.
No, I knew there wasn't going to be a better person to talk to that. I really like, you can really tell how much you put into the thought process of like, okay, we're not going to boil the ocean all at once. This is step one. This is where we want to be, and kind of having that approach to kind of getting to that goal of having all those comments even plugged out there, but not letting perfect get in the way of better when it comes to that process and step one, step two, step three, et cetera. Okay, well, and last question I have for you. You've been in the software, you've seen it, you've used it, you're starting to think about this. If you could go back in time, what advice would you have for yourself? Maybe several months ago before you'd started, or for today's actual webinar. What advice might you have for other schools or districts or boards that are looking to adopt this? How would you kind of help them not repeat the same experience you had and get to that end goal more quickly?
Yeah, some of it comes back to just using the product again. So one of my big concerns kind of coming into the translation services, having already towards the start of this current school year, we made a big effort to, on our own, translate our attendance letters that we kind of use as in the report creator, but we use it in conjunction with the MBA attendance monitor. And so we spent almost like a whole month with one of our major schools, kind of working back and forth and getting all those letters translated. And so I know several districts out there already have translations in the MBA report creator that they've done themselves. I was super happy to see that those just there's an import process, but those come over into the translation services. They don't use up your tokens for translations unless you want to retranslate them. It's nice that you have that flexibility there. But like all that work that I did, helped our schools do for a month at the start of this school year, didn't need to be redone. We didn't need to reinvent the wheel. So that was a great plus. Also, I've had questions now that I'm starting to kind of roll it out there that, hey, we're going to have this product next year. A lot of our schools were excited that once, they have one or two off foreign exchange students that come in that, don't fall under, our Spanish language or our Vietnamese language. Well, with this, we can easily, once we get to that final step, just say, hey, the student's primary language is French, and press a button, have it translated for them for that one individual student. So that's a really great thing. I would suggest maybe, planning a rollout. I don't know if you want to do just a certain reports, like focus on report cards and transcripts, or I've trying to gauge what our high use reports are. Obviously, report cards, progress reports, transcripts. So that's where I'm going to start. And then, like I said, if you could kind of develop a rollout, even maybe have someone on staff that speaks the languages your district is gonna translate into, kind of look over, make sure everything looks good. I think that would be a good rollout.
Perfect. No, I think that's, yeah, you really kind of highlighted that. Like, understand like what your initial goals are. I love the idea of thinking about like what are the most used reports you have within Report Creator and kind of start with those biggest impacts. So I think that's a great call out as well. And I will say, if you end up having any German exchange students, I was a German teacher for several years. Feel free. I'm happy to spot check for you. I'm not sure what the German population is within the greater Lincoln area, but if they're
Yeah.
see trends up there, I've got your back. So,
And I guess
well,
that is one thing I didn't specifically call out. Like that we have spot checked a few of our translations already, and it's dead on.
yeah.
Like we haven't had anything that really needs tweaked or anything. It's really almost a press of a button and it's translated
Yeah.
good.
No, that's the goal is building that trust and saving time, but also making sure people see like, oh, this is actually a quality translation and meeting the mark. So we're excited to get even more feedback from that from folks who end up using it for back to school. So,
Yeah.
well, Adrian, don't go anywhere. Feel free to hang out and see if there's any questions, things like that, specific to your organization. Feel free to answer those as a panelist. But now I'm gonna kind of switch gears and pull in Sherry Schultes. Now, Sherry is with Marshall Brenner Associates, a great teammate of mine, and is really going to be able to go in and show exactly how this works within the live software. So, Sherry, I'm going to stop my share so that you can grab the ball and jump in. I'm going to take a look at the questions and answers as well, but always excited to learn something from you. So,
Okay.
Sherry, I'll let you take it away.
Okay. As we transition here, we have a couple poll questions for you. You should be seeing on the screen the poll questions of, are you currently using Report Creator? Do you manually translate? And then how many different languages are you translating? So we're just gathering some information. We appreciate your participation in our poll question. As Sam said, my name is Sherry Schultes. It is an honor to be with you today to share with you a solution to assist you in creating strong partnerships with parents by ensuring every family feels informed, welcomed, and included. Many of you on the webinar today have created absolutely amazing reports with the Report Creator plugin, and we first want to extend a heartfelt thank you to you. Your trust and partnership inspire everything we do, and we are grateful for the opportunity to support your school and students every day. As we work to support your schools, MBA would also like to extend gratitude to the plugin development team for creating a solution that improves communication access to multilingual families. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and stop the poll question. If you are seeing that on your screen, you can go ahead and drop that, and then we'll share with you the results of our poll. I actually might. So on the screen, you see a Report Creator report. The Translation Services plugin assists districts in getting machine translations to swiftly translate student reports generated with MBA plugins, as well as it has an option to localize PowerSchool. The MBA Translation Services plugin seamlessly integrates with PowerSchool. As you work with PowerSchool, Report Creator, and our translation services, if you are or do have translations within Report Creator, the first step is to migrate your translations from the Report Creator plugin into the translation services. The migration is a simple process in which you enable the translation, set your default, and then you're mapping those translations into our translation services plugin. As you map those translations, the translation services will be the library or the hub of all of the translations. The Translation Services plugin is an AWS translation service, and it will translate your reports. So on the screen, we're seeing a very basic report card in which I have student information, attendance, courses, standards, and a free-flowing text comment by the teacher. I have 3 examples of students. One is requesting a preferred language of Russian, one is requesting Thai, and the other one is requesting Hebrew. As the Translation Services plugin and Report Creator are working together, you see the new button called Translate. As we set our translation, the source language for this report is English, and it is set to the student preferred language. Please note, the student preferred language in Report Creator, we honor those settings. So if you already have those settings mapped to a student preferred language for Report Creator, you will be able to utilize those settings. As we get our translation statistics, notice everyone will have a character balance in which the translations will work with. As we're getting our translation statistics, I see each of the 3 languages requested. And it's giving me information about the total translations, the stored values, machine translations, and characters needed to translate. So this translation services plugin is looking at the report to know what to translate. So in the yellow for our Russian student, the attendance table will be translated, the course names, as well as the standards and our free-flowing text comment. For our Hebrew student or a Thai student, those translations have already been stored within our translation plugin. So those translations will be utilized and used for the report. However, that free-flowing teacher comment is a brand new translation for the translation plugin, so it will be translating that. That translation is needed. And then our Hebrew student, this translation has already been completed as well, so the translations are stored. So there is securities around who can translate at the security group level. And I'm going to go ahead and say translate all text. As we translate the text, our AWS translation services is working, and now we have a report card in Russian, as well as a report in Thai and a report in Hebrew. Notice our spacing for the Hebrew has put it into the correct format for Hebrew. At this point, we can email the reports out to the parents as well as archive them onto the parent portal, improving communication access for our families. It's strengthening those school family partnerships with the plugin. So let's dive into Report Creator. As we look at Report Creator, our develop reports screen in our translation example here for our report, we now see a new icon that enables or disables the translation. So I can disable the translation for the entire page, the row, the column, or a specific element. So in this case, I've disabled the translation for the name. If I wanted to disable the translation services for the attendance, I could do that as well. And I've simply disabled that on the report. So you have complete control over what portion of your report will be translated using our translation services plugin. The translation services plugin is our library hub. So as we come to our MBA plugins, translation services, managed translation, this will be the library in which your translations will be stored. We can add new translations. We can import into our library. Our import file is very basic. The original text and the translated text would be imported. If you would like to import in your own translations, you could do that. But let's take a look at a specific language. So for Spanish, Spanish is the translation that has been migrated from Report Creator. This icon indicates that the information, the course number, the course has been translated from Report Creator. This is a translation that is linked to Report Creator, and it is a course translation. Any updates in the translation services will be updated then in our Report Creator as well. If I do need to make adjustments to our translation, I can make adjustments to the translation, or I can get new machine translations for the translations as well. Again, this is a two-way bridge with the Report Creator plugin translation. Let's take a look at French. As I look at French, French is a translations have been created as we generated the reports. The machine translations have been stored, and so I can see what those translations are. Again, I can filter if I would like to at the top. I can filter by any of the columns, and I can make adjustments to the translation. I see the original text as well as what has been translated by the translation services plugin. As we look at our different languages, all of our languages, I can search all throughout the languages, and maybe I want to narrow down my search to days absent. For days absent, I can see each of the languages that have been translated, as well as the translation themselves, which ones came from Report Creator, originated in Report Creator for the translation, and which ones were created by the translation plugins. Again, if I need to make any adjustments to the translation, I can do that on this screen, or I can import into the translation services. So the translation services serves as our hub, our library for our translations. The translations are stored and reused. It's looking for an exact match to reuse those translations on our Report Creator reports. Let's take a look at Report Creator. As we look at our report creator translation for courses, the translation plugin is also now at work in our report creator plugin. So as we come to course translations, our translation page, we can now add languages from our translation services plugin. If we'd like to add additional languages, we see all of the languages available. Or if we would like to continue updating our courses. So our courses are going to translate based off of our default language. So for Hebrew, if I would like to go ahead and translate a couple of courses, I can get the translations and translate into Hebrew. And it's reminded me to be sure and save here, but now I've made those machine translations for Hebrew on this page. So it also works with our text and standards as well. Again, our translation services is housing our translations, and we can make adjustments on that page as well. As we think about localizing PowerSchool, our translation services plugin also helps us work with the locales in PowerSchool. The localization function allows districts to retrieve machine translations for defined locales within PowerSchool. So as I come to System, Localization, MBA, Localized PowerSchool, it is giving me a warning because I didn't hit the Save button. So we'll come over here. As I localize PowerSchool, I can manage my locales. Those are the available languages that I have for PowerSchool, but this will enable me to manage the locales. So for Portuguese, I'm looking to adjust the courses. I have filters such as display only non-translated messages, as well as skip keys that have been translated, and I can go ahead and search and go ahead and ask the translation services to translate that text. So now my locales are updated for Portuguese. It is automatically saving this information. So it is a great way to be able to localize PowerSchool, to place it into the language that is appropriate for your staff. As your staff change the language to a different language, such as Portuguese, the translation services can help translate each of those pieces of PowerSchool for you. So it has the ability to retrieve machine translations and store them within the localization of PowerSchool. So we've covered lots of different things about our translation services plugin. The translation services plugin, extends Report Creator by delivering consistent professional translations directly within PowerSchool, allowing reports to be shared with families in their preferred language while reducing staff time and translation cost. It elevates our family engagement, saves times for staff, and builds a community of trust by sharing with the parents reports in their preferred language. So at this time, Sam, would you like to cover, or have there been some questions that we can answer live?
Yeah, no, that was perfect. I always learn something from you, Sherry. So I really appreciate the walkthrough. I'm going to grab the ball back and jump into our Q&A. Now, I think the biggest question that we had from folks were AWS, 75 languages, what languages? So we kind of assumed that would be a big question for folks. So this will be part of the recording. Feel free to screenshot. We're not, or this is all listed on the AWS translation services as well. But these are those 75 languages that are supported currently. And so that is what you would have the option to leverage and going in and doing exactly what Sherry just showed. And huge, we have Spanish, we have Vietnamese, two big ones for our friends in the Archdiocese of Lincoln as well. So that was, I think, the most answered question. There were some specific questions to individuals like, well, this is the way our table's set up. This is how is this pulling in. So huge thanks to our product leadership and support on the Q&A, because I think we got all the questions answered. A couple other big ones that folks had, of course, was, hey, what about the versioning of PowerSchool SIS? And so we did confirm that, we do build this to be really current with core PowerSchool SIS. So definitely something to think about as you're planning future updates and things like that. That's how this plugin is built. But if you have specifics like, hey, we're still on 26.4, et cetera, we're happy to answer those questions when we do our targeted follow-up. And then the other question that we got a little bit of was around timing, because we heard from Adrian thinking about back to school. So one of the questions was, okay, well, um, can this be realistically put in place and used for back to school? And the answer, and I like to caveat this, the answer is yes. It is a 4 to 6 week standard implementation. Now, the caveat I'll throw out there is, well, if you're the one SIS person within your district and you're going to be in, Costa Rica for the entire month of July, then maybe not. But if there's availability on your side, we are here to support you. I think we even had a school saying, well, hey, great timing. We've got some funds we have to use by the end of June. So this could be something that you certainly could finalize in June and have up and running in that 4 to 6 week span. So late July, early August, ahead of school starting. So I think those were the two big questions. I'm looking at the Q&A one more time. I'm not seeing any additional ones come in, but all right. Well, with that, as mentioned, I think we wanted to spend about 30, 45 minutes together today, which is exactly what we did. So just to close out, thank you. We do not take lightly that you spent some time with us today and that you also serve within your school or district. So hopefully we delivered a little bit of value in terms of showing you ways that you can save time next school year and beyond when it comes to increasing family engagement, which has direct effects on students, while decreasing a lot of that manual work and manual labor you may be going in perpetuity and just overseeing. We will be following up with everyone to see what additional questions maybe you had. If you're watching this as a recording, we follow up with folks that register and don't attend as well. But with that, I'm going to stop our recording and close out the webinar. So just once again, thanks to Adrian, thanks to Sherry for all of your leadership and insight on the call. Thanks to our Q&A staff, and most of all, thanks to all of our attendees and registrants today who spent a little bit of time with us. Hope you guys have a great end of the 25-26 school year, and we look forward to chatting with you soon.